Hello students, in this video we will see about the sugar in terms of its reducing and non-reducing character, and further we will take a related question often asked in various kinds of competitive examinations. Okay, so as far as sugar is concerned, it is a carbohydrate. The basic elements involved within sugar is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, now they are available in different forms like simple sugar called as monosaccharides, disaccharides, oligosaccharides, and the higher ones are called as polysaccharides. Now what is the basic difference between all of them? When I say monosaccharides, these are the simplest carbohydrates which cannot be hydrolyzed to smaller molecules. Okay, say for example glucose and fructose, right? So these are the examples quoted here. As far as the disaccharides are concerned, these are the ones having a combination of two monosaccharides, okay, like sucrose, lactose, maltose and so on. As far as oligosaccharides are concerned, these are the carbohydrates which can be hydrolyzed to yield 2 to 9 monosaccharide molecules. That means in case of oligosaccharides, there would be a combination of 2 to 9 monosaccharide molecules. So disaccharide is basically a subcategory of oligosaccharides itself, right? After that, if I consider polysaccharides, polysaccharides are the one which can be hydrolyzed to yield a very large number of monosaccharide molecules. That means it has a combination of higher number of monosaccharides. Is it okay? Now, as far as this monosaccharides are concerned, this can be further categorized as aldose and ketose. Now let us see what are this. Aldose is the one, or a monosaccharide which contains an aldehyde group is called as an aldose, and a monosaccharide which contains a keto group is called as a ketose. Okay, so on the basis of that there are different types of monosaccharides like aldotrioses, aldohexoses and so on. Similarly, on the basis of the ketone group they are classified as ketotrioses, ketotetroses, ketohexoses and so on. Is it clear? Okay, as far as the examples are concerned, say for example ketohexoses, fructose belongs to ketohexoses type of category, or if I consider glucose, glucose is a type of aldohexoses because it is an aldehyde group. Is it okay? Now after that, the next category involved here, or the next classification we can consider, is on the basis of whether it is a reducing sugar or a non-reducing sugar. Now what is a reducing sugar? If it has a free aldehyde or a ketone group, that means that particular carbohydrate, if it can show the reactions positive for aldehyde or ketone group, then we say it's a reducing sugar. That means it can act as a reducing agent. When I say it can act as a reducing agent, that means it can donate electrons to another molecules which would probably change the color, taste or order of that other molecule. Is it clear? Similarly, the other category is non-reducing sugar. Non-reducing sugar which do not have free aldehyde or ketone group, and so it's not able to donate its electron to another molecule. That means it cannot act as an reducing agent. Is it okay? So if you're clear about this, let us move ahead. Now let us see how to recognize a sugar, whether it is a reducing sugar or a non-reducing sugar. What you're going to check in such cases is for the anomeric carbon. Now what is this anomeric carbon? It is basically the first stereocenter of the molecule. Stereocenter means the chiral carbon atom, right? You have to remember this, that all carbohydrates which are commonly known as saccharides contain at least one chiral carbon atom. It can have more definitely, but it has to have at least one chiral carbon atom. That is, it will have at least one stereocenter of that molecule. So you have to recognize the first stereocenter of that molecule. If that stereocenter has an hydroxyl group, right, that means it has an alcoholic functional group, then it is a reducing sugar, right? In its open configuration, alcohol becomes a ketone or aldehyde, right, and it is able to reduce other compounds. So what basically happens is, in case it has an hydroxyl group at the first stereocenter, then there is an higher probability that the aldehydic or ketonic groups in carbohydrates combine with the hydroxyl groups and converts into hemiacetal structures, right, or acetal linkages exist within such carbohydrate molecules, right, and this results in the existence of reducing character for such carbohydrates. Is it clear? The simple concept is you have to just recognize the anomeric carbon, the first stereocenter. If it has an hydroxyl group, then you will directly say it is a reducing sugar. Now one more general category to it, all the monosaccharides like fructose, mannose, glucose, galactose, all the monosaccharides, they are reducing sugars because they obey this particular law. They have an anomeric carbon with an hydroxyl group. Okay. As far as the disaccharides are concerned, disaccharides are combination of two monosaccharides, right? So those combination of two monosaccharides can be either reducing in nature or non-reducing in nature, and then it will depend in what terms they are combining with each other, right? Though that we can understand by taking certain examples, and it will decide further whether that disaccharide is a reducing one or a non-reducing sugar. Is it clear? Now further let us see the question related to it, and then we'll go for the solution. See the question on your screen. Which of the following is not a reducing sugar? Sucrose, mannose, lactose or fructose? Now what is important in such type of questions? The first most important thing, you need to know the structures of this carbohydrates. Then further we can check out, or at least you should be able to know whether it's a disaccharide, whether it's a monosaccharide, oligosaccharide, right? At least that, on that basis, the hint which I given you already, that monosaccharides are reducing and disaccharides may be reducing or non-reducing. So you can apply that concept directly, right? Or the other way around, check for the structures, right? Now let us move one by one, taking these 4 examples: sucrose, mannose, lactose and fructose. The reaction which you can see on the screen is due to Enkestein rearrangement. Okay, so it is due to Enkestein rearrangement. However, we won't be going into details of this. See, as far as the concept of carbohydrates and sugars is concerned, it's a very wide topic. It has a vast concept, right? So we are not going to move in the details of this rearrangement. However, I've taken this particular thing to make you understand about the conformations of certain monosaccharides which are necessary for us to understand to solve that related question. Okay, so according to this Enkestein's rearrangement, what happens here is when you treat glucose with alkalis, right, this dilute alkalis bring about a reversible isomerization whereby it gives an equilibrium mixture containing glucose, mannose and fructose. Okay, and it involves the formation, and how this reaction proceeds is that due to the formation of an 1,2-indiol structure. So glucose with alkalis initially convert into indiol structure, and then further equilibrium mixture has been converted into glucose, mannose and fructose. Now what happens in this case? We just need to consider the structures here. That is most important to us right now. So as far as the glucose is concerned, you can see in case of glucose, this is a chiral center, the anomeric carbon having an hydroxyl group. We have seen initially all the monosaccharides are reducing in nature, and you need to check for an anomeric carbon atom whether they have an hydroxyl group or not. So this is an anomeric carbon having an hydroxyl group. If you consider mannose, mannose is again, this is a chiral center here, and this is a hydroxyl group attached to the first stereocenter. Again, this is an hydroxyl group attached to the first stereocenter. Is it okay? However, again we can check here, in case of glucose there is an aldehyde group, so it is an aldose. In case of mannose there is again an aldehyde group, this is also a category of aldose. But in case of fructose there is a keto group, so it's a category of ketose. Is it clear? So on that basis, at least I have my first point that yes, glucose, mannose and fructose, they all are monosaccharides, and their anomeric carbon atom has an hydroxyl group, right? And so I can say they are reducing in nature. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, we are left with 2. Let us move there. Before proceeding to other two, that is sucrose and lactose, we need to consider certain details, right? Certain concepts related to it. See on the screen, you have been specified the open chain form of the glucose, which you have initially seen when we saw what kind of monosaccharides are present as an example. So this is an open chain form of glucose. However, it has been observed that D plus glucose does not undergo certain reactions of aldehydes. Say for example, aldehyde forms an addition compound with sodium bisulfite, but D plus glucose doesn't obey this reaction, doesn't follow it. It doesn't respond to the Schiff's test even, right? Which should be positive if it has an aldehydic group. Again, it was observed that why this case does not happen, or it is not positive for certain reactions. That is due to that aldehydic group does not occur free in glucose. When I say aldehydic group does not occur free in glucose, that means, what is the reason for that? See, there is an aldehydic group here and an hydroxyl group here. Now there are various hydroxyl groups you can consider. So this is one of the aldehydic group on the upper side. There are various hydroxyl group at the other stereo centers existing. Okay. Now what happens in case of glucose is that a combination takes place, or the aldehydic group, in other words, get tied up by combination with one of the hydroxyl group, and it forms a cyclic hemiacetal structure as shown to you in either of this, alpha D glucose and beta D glucose. So what you can observe here is, at this particular carbon atom, the aldehydic group which was initially present, that gets tied up to the hydroxyl linkage present at the 5th carbon atom. Okay, so because of this linkages, there is a formation of a ring structure. This ring structure is called as an hemiacetal structure or a cyclic hemiacetal structure. Is it okay? Now the other concept too is, it is the mutarotation. Now what is mutarotation? See, it has been observed that this crystalline forms of alpha D glucose and beta D glucose are quite stable in aqueous solution, right? However, each of the form slowly changes into its equilibrium mixture of both, right? And you can prove that by considering the specific rotation of an aqueous solution of alpha D plus glucose as well as beta D glucose. See, alpha D glucose has a specific rotation of 112 degrees, right, which is found to gradually fall from an initial value of plus 112 degree to plus 52.7 degree, right? That means there is a conversion taking place. Similarly, in case of beta D plus glucose also, it has been observed that initial specific rotation of beta D glucose is plus 19 degree. However, it gradually increases from this to plus 52.7 degree, right? Now this phenomenon of change of specific rotation of an optically active compound with time to an equilibrium value, it is known as mutarotation, right? So these two concepts are very important to us for understanding the reducing or non-reducing character of a particular saccharide, which we'll be considering next, that is for sucrose and lactose. I hope the concept of cyclic hemiacetal structure and the mutarotation is clear to you up to here, right? So now we can move on our main concern. Let us consider lactose. Lactose is basically a disaccharide. As you can see on the screen, it is formed due to combination of galactose and glucose unit. Okay, so it's a disaccharide which is found in the milk of mammals. Its general formula is C12H22O11. Okay, as far as the conformation of this lactose is concerned, that what kind of monosaccharides have been present here, it has been confirmed by hydrolyzing it, right? On hydrolysis, it is found to give equivalent amounts of D plus glucose and D plus galactose. Okay. Now, as far as lactose is a reducing sugar or not, the one possibility you can check for whether it is a reducing sugar or not is through the formation of an oxazone. How are oxazones formed? You have to treat that particular saccharide with phenylhydrazine. Okay, so in this case it has been observed that when you treat this particular saccharide, this disaccharide lactose with phenylhydrazine, it results in the formation of an oxazone, which suggests that yes, it is a reducing sugar. On the other hand, what you're going to do is you need to check for the simplest way. You need to check for the anomeric carbon, and that anomeric carbon should have an hydroxyl group. Okay, so just check out for the structure of this complete lactose unit. So galactose combines with your glucose unit, right? We are considering the Haworth projection formula of this. So this is an hemiacetal form of galactose and this is an hemiacetal form of glucose. Okay, so what you can observe here is lactose has been formed by the combination of hemiacetal linkage C1 of galactose with the hydroxyl group on C4 of glucose, right? And such linkages formed between C1 of one monosaccharide unit with respect to the hydroxyl group on the other monosaccharide unit is called as a beta glycosidic linkage. Okay, so there's a beta glycosidic linkage between C1 of galactose with respect to OH group on C4 of glucose, right? Now after this has been worked out, what you can observe with reference to the anomeric carbon and the hydroxyl group. Yes, is there any anomeric carbon atom? Yes, just check it out. Which is the anomeric carbon atom? Anomeric carbon atom is the first stereo center. This was the first stereo center here in case of galactose, and this is the first stereo center with reference to the glucose unit. Okay, so first stereo center in case of galactose is been involved in the formation of a beta glycosidic linkage. That means the galactose unit is a non-reducing unit, right? However, in case of glucose, the anomeric carbon is available with respect to the hydroxyl group. That means it is reducing in nature. So glucose unit is reducing. Is it clear? And since at least one of the unit within the disaccharide shows a reducing character, that means lactose on a whole is a reducing sugar. I hope the concept is clear. How are you going to find out whether it is a reducing or a non-reducing sugar? Simple, only anomeric carbon atom and the concerned hydroxyl group, right? After that, let us move on the last one, that is sucrose. Yes, so this is the structure for the sucrose, Haworth projection formula of sucrose. So as we can see on the screen, sucrose comprises of two monosaccharides, glucose and fructose, right? Can you observe the glycosidic linkage taking place here? This is the glycosidic linkage. So the glycosidic linkage is possible between the two constituting units due to C1 of glucose and C2 of fructose, right? After that, what we are going to next check is for the anomeric carbon and whether it has an available hydroxyl group after the linkage has been taken place. Okay, now which is the anomeric carbon in case of glucose unit? The first stereo center. Just observe very clearly. So the first anomeric carbon or the stereo center, the main stereo center is carbon number 1. Okay, and what about the fructose unit? In case of fructose unit, is this carbon number 1 a stereo center? No, it's not a stereo center. It's not an anomeric carbon. Then which is the first anomeric carbon here? It is carbon number 2. Okay, now both the stereo centers or the anomeric carbons are attached to each other with the help of a glycosidic linkage. Because of that, you can observe there is no available hydroxyl group. Neither with glucose unit there is any available hydroxyl group at an anomeric carbon 1, and neither there is an hydroxyl group available with fructose unit at carbon 2. right? So what does it suggest? That both the units are non-reducing in nature. And on that basis, what I can say is sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. I hope the concept is clear. Now let us move to the question again and try to find out the answer. So which of the following is not a reducing sugar? As far as your mannose is concerned, it was a monosaccharide, so it is a reducing. Fructose is concerned, it is monosaccharide, so a reducing sugar. As far as lactose is concerned, it was a disaccharide having a combination of glucose and galactose unit, whereby we have seen that glucose unit was reducing, right? And in case of sucrose, it's a combination of glucose and fructose, and both the units were non-reducing, right? So which is the right option here? The right option is option number A, that is sucrose. Okay, so that's for today. Thank you for watching.